Hello, hello, hello. I am the Linux Mint. Back in July, Linux Mint came out with a new release of the distribution based on Ubuntu. And instead of doing an install, I just took the version from December that I had on my system and I upgraded it or updated it to the brand new version. And I had never done that on video before. So I thought that was cool. And I've been waiting to do a brand new install because they're going to be coming out with a brand new version, a brand new ISO of their system that's based totally on Debian. And supposedly it's supposed to come out in August, but it hasn't come out yet. So I was waiting for that to come out because it's going to be based on the brand new release of Debian 12 that came out 2 months ago. Plus, it's going to have all the brand new Linux Mint stuff in it that was released in July in their Ubuntu version. So like I said, I've been waiting for that to be released before I do an install video. But anyways, they're taking their time. And one thing about Linux Mint is that they don't have deadlines. They don't push through their distribution or their updates. They wait until they're confident that everything is working properly and functioning properly before they release it. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and do an install video on their Ubuntu version that came out a month ago. And then when they release the one that's based on Debian, I'll do another install. So let's get to it. So this is my YouTube channel, and you can see right here, 3 weeks ago, I did a video, Linux Mint, new 21.2 Victoria. But instead of doing an install, like I said, I just upgraded the old version to it. And now we're on the Linux Mint website, and their flagship recommended one is Cinnamon, which is based on Ubuntu. And this is the one that was released last month, as well as they have the Mate edition and the XFC edition. And they were also released last month. And they're all three of them are based on Ubuntu. So I'm going to do an install with the Cinnamon one today. And I'm going to encrypt it. And like I said, they have this one here, LMDE5. So they're working, and this one is based on Debian. It bypasses Ubuntu. And this is LMDE5, Linux Mint Cinnamon. And the Debian version only comes in a cinnamon flavor. And they're working on LMDE6. So that's going to be based on the brand new Debian that came out 2 months ago, back in June. And it's also going to have all the updated Linux Mint stuff in it. So when that comes out, I'm going to do another install video. And apologize for repeating myself and over-explaining myself. But this is what I'm doing. So let's get to it. So I'm going to close my web browser. And what I have here is I fired up a virtual machine of the brand new Linux Mint that came out a month ago. And I gave it 4 processors, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 25 gig hard drive. So of course, I'm going to click on this right here. And here we are. And English is good for me, so I'm going to continue. And I'm going to continue. The keyboard layout is good. So I'm going to continue. And here it says install media codecs. Yes. That's going to be for your videos and music, that everything works properly. I'm going to continue. And this is the part where you go to encrypt it. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do something different. So it says to erase the disk and install Linux Mint. So if you say install now, and I'm doing this because I want to show you an error that I made in the past. Right, changes to the disk, continue. Toronto is my city. Now, what I've done is I've purposely bypassed the area where it allows you to encrypt the whole drive because I made this mistake before, so I want to show it on camera so you can see it. So what we're doing right now is if we continue, the drive will not be encrypted. So I'm going to put my name in, my computer's name, Linux Mint 21.2. And my username is Mensch. My password is going to be a simple password because this is a virtual machine and it's just for the video. And now you see here, encrypt my home folder. You can click it on or off. Now, I don't know what encrypting the whole folder, what it does. Obviously, it encrypts your home folder, but I've never done that before. Because in my opinion, what you want to do is encrypt the whole drive. If you want to do encryption. So the thing is that if you don't encrypt your drive, I can take a Linux Mint thumb drive or an MX Linux thumb drive or a Manjaro thumb drive, and I can hack into your system. I can hack into your Linux system, and I can get your files. I can see your files. I can copy your files. I can delete your files and so forth. And by the way, I can use one of those thumb drives to hack into Windows as well, because I've done it. But when you encrypt your drive, nobody will be able to hack into your system with a thumb drive. The only thing is if you forget the password, you'll never be able to get back into your computer again or into your system again. You'll have to format your drive and do a brand new install. So, like I said, I accidentally, when I was doing an install in the past, I went here and I encrypted my folder. And then I continued going on. Encrypted the home folder, but my drive wasn't encrypted. So if you've come here, you've gone too far. So what you want to do is, first of all, unclick that. And, oh, it's not letting us back up. How about that? So what I'm going to do is pause the video and start again. Okay, so I created a new system. Let's go back into the installation. Okay, so we want English. Let's continue. On English again. Let's continue again. I thought I was going to be able to back out of there. I was able to do it once before, but maybe I went too far this time. So we want to install media codecs. That's for your music and your videos. Let's continue. Now, this is the point where you want to choose to encrypt your drive, the whole system, if you want encryption. And you're going to go right here. So it says erase disk and install Linux Mint. It's automatically clicked on, and that's what we want. And now we're going to click on this advanced features. So see what I mean? It's not obvious. And I wish they would change this screen around a bit, because it's not obvious that in there is the option to encrypt your whole drive. So I wish they would change this menu. I don't like the way it is. But anyways, I don't know if it's Linux Mint or if it's the Calamares, because this is the Calamares installer. So I don't know who would be responsible for changing this. But I wish there was something there to make it more obvious that there is a feature to encrypt the whole drive. So anyways, you're going to click on Advanced Features. And you're going to click on, now you see here it says Encrypt the new Linux Mint installation for security. Well, see, it's a dead link. It's not working because you're going to have to click on Use LVM. So you're going to click on Use LVM. And now this comes alive. Now we can click it on. Encrypt the new Linux Mint installation for security. Now we click OK. Now we click Install. Now it's going to give us a security key, and I'm just going to put a simple one in. But you have to make sure you remember this, because if you forget this, you'll never be able to get back into your installation. And the only thing you'll be able to do is format your hard drive and do a fresh install. And then you'll lose everything if you don't have your personal files backed up. So I'm going to confirm my password. And now I'm going to click Install Now. So now it's warning me what it's going to do. You know, it's going to erase the whole drive, and if I have anything there, I'll lose it. Let's hit continue. And now it's choosing my city. Let's continue. Now we're going to put our name in, and I'm going to type in my computer name. You can give it whatever name you want. Let's call it Linux Mint 21.21.1. And it has my name mentioned there. And now it's going to ask for user password. I'm going to put my user password in, and I'm going to continue. And so now it's going through the install. So I'm going to pause the video and come back when it's time to reboot. Don't go away. Oh yes, and I forgot to tell you, just in case you don't know, this installation takes about 10 minutes. And like I said, I'll be back. So finished installing the system. It took about 10 minutes. I'm going to hit restart. And we're going to boot into our new installation. And it's just going to go through a little thing here. It's going to tell you to remove your disk. So you move your, if you're doing it on bare metal, you got to remove your thumb drive. Hit enter. And let's reboot into the system. I'm going to make this full screen. And it's just going in. And in a moment, it's going to come up to the encryption screen. And here we are. We're at the screen where it's telling you or asking you to unlock your disk to unencrypt it. So I'm going to put my encryption password in. Now you could have 3 passwords. If you really want security, you should have an encryption password, a different password for root, and a 3rd password for your user. And then you could have a 4th password for your spouse and a 5th password for your children, or 6, depending on how many children you have. So, but for security, you should have an encryption password, a root password, and a user password. Anyways, I'm going to put my encryption password in. And then it's going to go through and decrypt the drive. And then it's going to take me to the login manager. And when your drive is encrypted, I think it's impossible for anyone to hack into your system. Now we're at the place where we log in. And I'm going to put my password in here. I'm going to hit enter. And we are in our brand new system. There's a welcome screen. You can read this. I don't bother with it. I always unclick this so the next time I boot up, this doesn't come up. And I close it. Now, because this is a virtual machine, I have to fix the resolution. And you only have to do it once. If you're doing this on bare metal, you won't have to do this. So I'm going to change it to, let's do 1360 by 768. Apply it. Keep the configuration. And let's close that screen. System reports. And you're going to install the language packs. And this only takes a moment. Hit continue, put your password in. Now it's asking if you want to launch TimeShift. I never use it. TimeShift is a program that takes a snapshot of your system. So when you do an upgrade, if for some reason the upgrade damages your system, you can always roll back. But I've never used it. And I've been using Linux for just over 3.5 years. Actually, in December, it'll be 4 years. I never had problems with updates in Linux Mint or in Arch Linux. Anyways, you can do TimeShift. I always ignore it. I never set it up. Are you sure you want to ignore it? Yes, I don't want it. And let's close this. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go, when there's a red dot here, it means there's updates to do. So this shield, this is not like a, I wish they'd change the shield because it looks like it's a virus protection shield and it's not. This, when the red dot isn't there, it means you're up to date. When the red dot is there, it means you have to do updates. So you click it on and just click on OK and apply the update. And before you do that, I'm going to cancel it. I forgot. So do you want to switch to a local mirror? You don't have to, but I like to. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to put my password in here. And I'm going to switch to a local mirror. I'm going to click on the main one. And I'm going to click on University of Waterloo Science Club. It's university in Canada. It's not too far from where I live. So I'm going to apply it. Then I'm going to go down here and click on University of Waterloo as well. And here it is down here. I'm going to apply it. And I'm going to hit click OK. And it's just updating the cache. And this just takes a moment. Okay, and that's done. So I'm going to close this. Now I'm going to apply the update. I'm going to put my password in. And it's just going through and installing some software. So what it's doing is it's updating, it updated the update manager. So now I'm going to make that full screen. So now it's saying we have 47 updates to do, and I'm going to install updates. And it's important that you do your updates, and you can see here, well, okay, so you can see here it's updating the kernel. Of course, when the kernel is updated, you always have to reboot. So normally when you do updates in Linux, you don't have to reboot unless it's the kernel. But one thing that's nice about Linux Mint, let's just hit OK and let's let it go through the update. Oops, I gotta put my password in. Hit enter. So one thing that's nice about Linux Mint is that when you're doing your updates, when it's finished, if you need to reboot, it's going to tell you. Now, that's one thing you don't get when you're in Arch Linux, because in Arch Linux, you do your updates in the terminal, and you just have to know and be aware of whether you need to reboot or not. So Linux Mint is user-friendly, and it's going to tell you when you need to reboot after an update. Anyways, I think this update's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes, so I'm going to pause the video and come back. So don't go away. I'll be back. So we finished doing the update, and you can see here it says your system is up to date. You can see here this icon, it says your system is up to date, and it doesn't have that red dot there anymore, and it's telling you reboot required. And it's telling you that because we installed the kernel, or actually it updated the kernel. So anyways, we're going to close that, and we're going to go to here. We're going to click on this red one, and we are going to not shut down, we're going to restart. And while it's rebooting, I'm just going to pause for a moment. Okay, so now we're at the encryption screen. And I'm going to type in my password to decrypt the drive. And next it's going to decrypt it. Oops. Okay, I typed in the password wrong. Can you believe that? A 2-digit password, that should be really easy. I typed it in wrong the first time. So anyways, it's going to take me to the login manager. I'm going to type in my user password. And now I'm going to tell you, and now I'm going to show you the changes I like to make in Linux Mint after it's installed and updated. So the first thing, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to themes. This is not the first thing you should do, but I'm going to do it because I like a dark theme. So I'm going to click on that. So what I did was I clicked on the menu, I typed in themes in this bar here, and it brought me here. I'm going to click on this dark, and I'm going to just close it now. Now, the first thing you should do is, so here, this is your software center, but we're not going to go there yet. First, we're going to go into system settings. So these are, yeah, see the dark theme is working. So these are the system settings. And I'm going to click on Firewall. And I'm going to put my password in. And you can see by default, the firewall is turned off. We don't need to make that large screen. Let's just keep it small. So I'm going to toggle it on. There we go. So now the firewall is on. So that's one of the most important things to do after your update. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Power Manager. It's default to go off in 30 minutes. I don't use the Power Manager, so I like to turn it off. When the power button is pressed, shut down immediately, and never turn it off. And then I go back here and I go to the screensaver right up here. And I don't use the screensaver. It's set for 15 minutes by default. So I'm going to shut that to never, or change it to never. And I'm going to toggle these off. And of course, that's up to you how you want to do it. It's all about preference, right? And what am I going to do next? So now I'm going to close this. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the clock format. I don't like it like that. So what I do is, and actually I'm going to, for this next bit, I'm going to hide my face. And you know what? I think I might just bring my face over here. Let's do that. So for the clock, I don't like the format, so I'm going to click it on. I'm going to click on here, date and settings. And I'm going to toggle off, just use 24-hour clock. I'm going to toggle on display date. There you go. You got the full date down here. And you could put on seconds. If you want seconds, you could toggle that on. And now it's in the clock here. It's going to give you seconds. But I'm going to leave that off. Now, let's say you want this font to be a little bigger in the menu here. And in here, you could go and just type in font. And you could change this to, let's just kick it up a notch to 11. And let's make it bold. Let's select it. There we go. We don't want it too large, right? And what else can we do? Let's make sure the volume is up. I like the volume to be up full blast. And another thing I want to do is anywhere on the bar here, you're going to right click it, right? So right click your mouse on the bottom bar, go to applets. Let's make it full screen. And I know I'm going to move my face. Whoops. So now what we're going to do is we're going to click on download, and it's going to update and download all the available applets. And you can see here in the bar, it's downloading or updating all the applets that are available. It's not actually bringing them down into your system. It's really just, I guess it's updating the cache. Now that's done. Now I'm going to click on this weather icon. And then I'm going to click on this arrow to download it. And you can see here it's downloading it. See? That's done. Now I'm going to go to manage. I'm going to click on this button manage, or this icon. I'm going to click on manage. Then I'm going to click on the weather app again. You have to do this a second time. And I'm going to click on this plus sign. And there we have it. And now I'm going to close this window. So now we have the weather app. Here it's 24 degrees Celsius. I can click it on. Has sunrise, sunset. Has the winds are coming from the north at 18 kilometers per hour. Feels like 24. The temperature is 24. There's broken clouds. Gives me today, tomorrow, Sunday. I can do this. And it gives me hourly. There we go. I don't know why it wasn't moving. Gives me hourly rates. And of course, Linux Mint has the best weather app in the whole Linux world. And that's a fact. And this weather app is only available in Linux Mint. It's not available in other Linux distributions. And let's say you want to configure it. You can go in, you can right click on the temperature, configure, make it big, and let's move my face. And, you know, you have all kinds of stuff up here that you can do. The only thing I do is I turn on this enable minute This one thing I do is enable minutely precipitation forecast. And I toggle that on, and I change this hourly forecast to 26 hours. And I close it. So when I go up here and do this, now I have 26 hours. When I go up here and do this, now I have 26 hours available. You could make it 48 or 72 or whatever. I'm not sure how high it goes, but that's the weather app. Now, of course, you have Firefox here. You have Celluloid, which is a video player. Rhythmbox, which is a music player. You have the whole LibreOffice suite, spreadsheets, Word documents, so forth. This is your file manager, Nemo. And I'm not going to spend too much more time in here. Oh, I didn't take you to the software center. So let's go take a look at the software center, and then I'm going to install Awesome Window Manager, and then I'm going to close the video because I don't want it to be too long. So now we're at the software center. I'm going to make it full screen. And somebody was asking me about Plex, and I never heard of it. I never used it, so I don't really know what it is, but let's type in and see if it's here. Plex. And let's see if it comes up. And here it is, Plex. Click it on. And it looks like it's something for playing videos. or some type of TV. So anyways, you just click on this and install it. Now I'm not going to install it because I don't want it on my system. This is just a virtual machine anyways. And let's call up Brave browser. See if they have the Brave browser. I know they do, but here it is here. Just click it on. If you decide you want it, just click on install and it's going to install it. And of course, let's go into the terminal. Another thing you should do is when you're, let's go into preferences and make this a little larger. Let's go in, and I wrote right click to get into here, by the way. So just go anywhere, just right click and preferences and text, custom font. Let's hit monospace and let's click it up to 15. Let's see how that is. Well, that's a bit larger. That's nice. This is the GNOME terminal, by the way. And so Linux Mint by default doesn't give root a password, so we have to give root a password. So we're going to do PASWD without the O and without the R. I'm going to leave a space. I'm going to type in root. And you know what? I forgot to do sudo. So we're going to type in sudo password without the O and without the R. We're going to type in root. And we're going to put our user password in. I'm going to put Mench's password in. Now I'm going to put the new password for root. And I'm going to hit it again. Notice it's not doing any asterisks. I'm going to put it in again. And it was updated successfully. Now let's see if we can get into root. So you do SU for root. And let's put our password in. Root's password, that is. So I just put root's password in and now I'm in root. So most distributions, especially when they're using the Calamares installer, this automatically gets done during installation, but for some reason with Linux Mint, it doesn't. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the awesome window manager. So I'm going to do sudo app. Now I could go into the software center and install it, or I could install it here. App install. Awesome. It's just as easy to do it here. And now we're installing the awesome window manager, but it's not going to be configured. And that's done. It didn't take that long. I really didn't have to pause the video. So I'm going to close the window. I'm going to click on here. I'm going to click on not the red one, but this black one. And I'm going to log out. Now I'm going to click on this icon here. And I'm going to click on awesome. And I'm going to put my password in. And now we're in the awesome window manager. But this is the awesome window manager by default. It doesn't have my awesome window manager configuration in it. Now I could put it in. I've showed in many videos how to download my GitLab repository and install my configuration files, and especially how to install them for the awesome window manager. So I'm not going to do that in this video. Now what I want to do is let's hit, ooh, that's terrible. Let's just do an Htop. Oh, Htop is not installed, I bet you. No, let's do sudo apt install Htop. Hit enter, put my password in, and now we're installing Htop. And let's do Htop. So you can see we're running at 3. I gave this virtual machine 4 processors, 4 gigs of RAM, and the installation automatically gave it 1 gig of swap. Let's get out of here. Let's quit. Let's pull down the menu and go back to Cinnamon default. Put my password in, hit enter, and let's go and do an Htop in here. So we see in here, ooh, these colors aren't great. I don't know if you can see that. Now we're running at 743 megabytes of RAM out of 4 gigs. So that's not bad. Oh, now, yeah, we're at 770. So that's not bad, but as you can see, the Cinnamon desktop is a full desktop environment, so it uses more RAM than the awesome window manager. So let's say you want to change your passwords. You're going to go into the terminal. I'm going to make it full screen, and I'm going to do sudo password without the O and without the R, mench. It's going to ask me for the current password for mench. So I'm going to type it in. Now it's asking me for mench's new password. I'm going to type that in, and I'm going to retype it. And now mench's password is changed. Now let's just leave the terminal for a second, and let's go back in. And there's a reason why I'm leaving and going back in. Now let's say I want to change root's password. So I'm going to do sudo password without the O and without the R. I'm going to type in root. So now it's asking me for mench's sudo password. So I'm going to put that in. Then it's going to ask me for the new password for root. So I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to retype it. And now root's password is changed successfully. Now let's see if we can get into root. And now we're in root. So that's how you change your user password and your root password. Now let's say you want to change your encryption password. That's really easy. So I'm going to go here, and we're just going to go into this field here, and we're going to type in disks. Now we don't want disk usage analyzer. We want disks. I'm going to click it on. Let's make it full screen. Now we have all these things here. Now I don't have any. Now remember, this is a virtual machine, and I don't have any thumb drives plugged into it or anything, or any CDs attached to it or anything like that, or ISOs attached to it. So we have these 4 things here. So if you click on, let's say, this 23 gig block device, and click on this, you can see change password isn't available. Okay. And this is our swap drive, so we're not going to change the password for the swap drive. And there's no password anyways, it's not available. And of course, this is the CD-ROM, and there's nothing attached to it. There's no media. See? No media. So we want this one, the 27 gig hard disk. So we have here the virtual disk, 27 gigabyte. Now, if we click this on, still change password is not available. So what we're going to do is make sure this is clicked on, and we're going to go to my 25 gig Lux partition. So we're going to partition 4, 25 gigabyte Lux. We're going to highlight it, and now we're going to click on this icon here, and now we see change password is available. So let's click it. Now the thing is that if you forget your encryption password, you won't be able to change the password or put a new password in. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you forget your encryption password, the only thing you can do is format your hard drive and do a brand new installation. And you'll lose everything that was not backed up. So let's put our current password in. Let's put the new password in. It's telling it's weak, but this is just a virtual machine. Let's put it in again. You can even click on show passwords so you can see what you're doing. I'm not going to show you because I don't want you to see my super secret long password. So do that. And well, the change button is dead. You know why? Because I didn't change the password. So do I want to change the password? Okay, let's do it. So my current password is this. My new password is, and let's put my new password in. And now the change button is available. Let's change it. Now it's asking me for my sudo password. So what's my sudo password? Let's authenticate it. And now it's changing the encryption password. It's just going to take a second. And I'm going to close that. and I'm going to reboot. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. And I'm going to reboot. Restart. And I'm going to pause the video and come back in a sec. Okay, so I rebooted and we're at the encryption password stage. So let's see if it accepts my new password. Let's type it in, hit enter, and of course it's going to work. And now we're at the login screen. Put my Mench's password in. So that's how you change the encryption password. Anyways, that's Linux Mint. Oh, that's another installation video for Linux Mint with encryption and post-installation changes that I like to make when I install Linux Mint. And my next installation video for Linux Mint will be when they come out with the Debian version. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. I am the Linux Mensch. Bye-bye.